Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Beauty by Jorge. In this video, we are going to learn how to be a hairstylist, but also a therapist, a personal therapist to your clients. This is something that you have to learn with experience, and it is not easy, but we are going to learn it today. Now, what I want you all to do is to go to YouTube, click subscribe, follow me, click on the bell notifications for future videos because we're going to be learning a lot on this channel. I hope you enjoy this video and that you get to really listen to me and learn from my, limited amount of knowledge. It's only been almost 30 years of doing hair, of being a hairstylist, that I've learned these techniques. So, in my early career as a hairstylist, I was a young hairstylist. I started as a barber at 16. I started with women's hair around 18. And in the beginning, it was not easy for me to communicate with my clients. It was actually very difficult because I was focused on the hair, on doing hair, on getting the techniques right, on listening to what my clients, my female clients, now this video is going to be more so for your interactions with your female clients, because working with men is more of a short time span that you're going to be in the chair, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And you can start up a conversation with men kind of easy. They're really into themselves, as we all may know. And they can sometimes have their own conversations and you're just there listening and cutting their hair. But with women, it's different. You're going to be spending hours with these women in your chair, and you're going to have to learn how to listen, how to speak, how to converse, and sometimes just how to stay quiet. A lot of the times women do not want to speak, and you will be thankful at this with some clients, because you don't have to do any work as far as being a therapist goes. You don't really have to do work with women who don't really want to speak. But with the ones that do want to speak and they have your full attention, you're going to have to learn some techniques, some tips, and some ways of communicating effectively with your clients. So in my early career, I was worried more so about the work, about getting their hair done correctly. So the consultation was important to me because I needed to hear what they wanted to do with their hair and get it right. So in the beginning, I just know that I was not a good conversationalist. I was not good at having conversations with my clients, because I was not really paying attention to them as an individual. I was worried about getting my work done correctly. And so I was just not good. I didn't have that skill set. Also, I'm an introvert, and I know that I'm an introvert. And that's something that you have to know. Are you an introvert or are you an extrovert? I'm an introvert. I get my energy from being alone, from being on my own. I get my energy from it. I'm not an extrovert. And an extrovert is a person who loves to talk, who loves to communicate with people, who loves to be around people. Now, being a hairstylist, it is very important to know if you're an extrovert or an introvert, because extroverts are easily conversing with their clients with no problems, with no issues. But as an extrovert, knowing that as an introvert, knowing that you're an introvert, you have to learn these skills. Because if you know you're an introvert, you're going to have difficulties speaking to people and speaking to women on a one-on-one basis. It's not easy. Introverts are sometimes shy. We just don't know how to communicate with others well, or in groups, especially if you're in an open salon. Sometimes you have to have these conversations with women and everyone else is listening or trying to join in on the conversation. So knowing that you're an introvert is important. If you know that you're an extrovert, then you won't really need this video, in my opinion. But you might learn something from this video regardless. So I had to learn how to lose fear, the fear of speaking. I had fear of speaking. I really did have a fear of speaking with women, having conversations with women. It was hard for me in the beginning. And I will suggest that you start practicing how to speak to people, how to speak to women, because men are different from women. Women are completely different. Men, like I said earlier, love to speak in general and they love to speak about themselves in general. Women, you kind of have to feel them out. You got to get to know them. You have to think in terms of how can I be this woman's friend? And then after being their friend, how can I be an intimate friend? And after being an intimate friend, how can I be this woman's therapist? Because a lot of the times, us as hairstylists, we become our client's therapist. Believe it or not, that really is a thing. And with my experience, I have nearly 30 years of being a hairstylist. I have become a lot of my clients' therapists. Whether they know it or not, whether I knew it or not, I have become their personal therapist to a degree. And so I'm going to give you guys some tips, some talking points, some tips on to becoming a better therapist slash hairstylist to your female clientele. So when you have a client in your chair, you got to start to feel them out immediately. You have to pick up on their cues, on how their attitude is, on how their vibe is. You have to feel them out. Not only are you going to have a consultation on how you want to get their hair or how they want to get their hair, because it's a conversation. As soon as you start having a consultation with your clients, you're going to start to feel out their personality. Are they a are they an introvert? Are they an extrovert? Do they like to talk? Do they like to remain quiet? Do they like to converse? Are they um, are they going to share about themselves or are they not? Are they private? You have to feel this out. You have to pick up on their cues. But when you do feel that they do want to have a conversation with you, it is part of your job to have a good conversation with your client. They're also paying for your therapy, believe it or not. They're getting their hair done, they're getting a hair service by you. But a lot of the times they're paying for therapy, whether they know it, whether you know it, it is part of your service. And being a good conversationalist, being a good therapist, psychologist is going to be part of what you need to know that you're going to have to bring to the table. So, talking points. There are so many things that you guys can talk about. You can talk about life in general, what's going on in your country, in your surroundings, like celebrity news or what's going on in politics or whatever. Feel them out. They're going to give you a sense of who they are once they start to talk to you. So get to know what's going on in your immediate world. Um, have a good understanding of what's going on in politics or celebrity news or just in life in general. We all have life experiences that we can bring to the table. We all have our preferences on celebrities that we like, movies we like, music that we like, and just start to feel out what they like. Most people want to talk about and like to talk about themselves. So start to ask questions of your clients, get to know them, probe them, ask them questions. A lot of things that I talk about with my clients, and I love the fact that now I'm in a closed studio, meaning I'm no longer in an open salon where everyone's listening to my conversation. Now that I'm in a closed studio, I've become, I feel, not only a better hairstylist, but a better therapist, a better psychologist, a better therapist, a speaking therapist to my clients. It's something that I've Without even wanting to, without even thinking about it, I've got I've gotten a skill of really becoming a better therapist to my clients because I have the privacy in my room to speak freely to my clients. So a lot of the times I will talk about their love lives. Are they married? Are they divorced? Are they in a relationship? Are they dating? Are they not dating? I'm able to speak about these things freely with them. And a lot of the times, women want to talk about their love lives. And if it's not their love lives, they sometimes like to talk about their children, their kids, being a new mother, being a mom with teenage boys and girls, all different types of eras of their kids' lives. They sometimes want to talk about it. Also, another point of conversation with a lot of women is their careers. What is it that they do? Do they have businesses? Are they working for someone? What is it that they do? You can ask questions on their careers, career goals. Sometimes they're in school. Sometimes they want to talk about what they want to do as far as coming out of school. A lot of times women have their own businesses. They're their own entrepreneurs. And sometimes they want to talk about that. They sometimes want to let things off their chest. And when they're in your chair, they're letting their stress out. They're conversing, they're talking about their personal lives, their careers, their businesses, and you're there to listen to them. Another point that sometimes comes up is trauma therapy. For example, when you're in the space of privacy and you have an intimate relationship with your clients that can maybe last for years. I've had clients that I've had relationships with them for decades, and we've gotten to know each other. And I'm able to share with them private details about my life if I want to share. They share private and detailed life life traumas or details about their lives. Sometimes they've gone through trauma. They've gone through something that has impacted them. And you have to know how to react, how to listen, how to be sympathetic, how to have sympathy for this person without judgment. A lot of the times, clients are going to talk to you about things that are way like out there, private, intimate, or maybe that you don't agree with. Topics that sometimes can be iffy that you have to be aware of is religious topics, religion in general. Religion can be a topic that you can talk about or that you don't want to talk about. You have to feel them out. If you guys share a religious ideology, like you have something in common, and you're both Christian or you're both Catholic or you're both Muslim and you feel that you can talk about religion with this client, then go ahead. If you are not religious at all or you're not in accordance with their religion, if they're Christian and you're Muslim, if they're Muslim and you're Christian, don't get into it. Trust me. Don't get into it because at one point or another, you might be offensive. You might sound offensive. You might come off as offensive. So don't talk about it. But if you have it in common, then go ahead. I've had such great personal, intimate, religious type conversations with my clients that I enjoy it. I feel like I'm in therapy sometimes. And so those are topics of conversation that I sometimes can get a lot from. Can get a lot from me because I have my points of view. And that's just how it is. Sometimes this is another point of therapy that you might be able to administer to your clients, grief therapy. Sometimes I will get clients that have gone through some kind of grief. A family member has passed away, a family member has died, a close, intimate spouse, mother, father, sibling has passed away. And for me personally, I didn't used to be able to speak about grief therapy with clients. Sometimes they'd be crying in my chair and I'd be like, "What's wrong?" "Oh, my husband just passed away. My mom just passed away. My sibling, my daughter, my." You have to be prepared. Sometimes this happens. And I used to be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and not really talk about it because I wasn't prepared. I was ill-equipped. I just wasn't ready for that. But with the years that have passed, and like I said, I have 30 years of doing hair. I've learned how to have conversations. I've learned to be sympathetic to whatever it is that they're talking about. Sometimes grief is something that you can either talk about or you just are not comfortable with. I've become comfortable with talking about grief. And sometimes your clients want to talk about it. Sometimes my clients are there talking about their grief and they're crying. You just got to be there listening to it, giving them their tissues, being a sounding board, listening to what they're feeling. Sometimes they're letting things out that they probably have not let out with anyone. And you as a hairstylist should be equipped and ready to listen. Sometimes all you got to do is listen. Sometimes you don't even have to counsel them or advise them on how to get over the grief because knowing how to get over the grief, we learned, me personally, I went to psychology class and at the university. I learned all about the grief stages. There are 5 levels of grief, acceptance and all that. And you have to kind of like be aware that there is a process on how to get over grief. If you don't know about grief, then really don't talk about it. But if you have some experience and if you have personal issues or experiences with grief, then you can probably speak freely about it. But if you're not at that point in your life, then just don't talk about it. You'll know if you're able to talk about certain subjects or not. As a young hairstylist, sometimes when you're young and you're a young hairstylist, you really don't have life experience. You can only go by what you've lived. So just be aware about that. If you're a young stylist and you have an older person in your chair and you want to have a conversation with this woman, know what you're going to talk about. Know what you can talk about and what you cannot talk about. If you're not comfortable with religious conversations, don't talk about it. If you're not comfortable with grief, don't talk about it. If you're not comfortable with divorce, love lives, don't talk about it. Talk about what you're comfortable and what you know. One thing I learned is don't talk about things you don't know anything about. What's the point? They're not going to get anything from you. You're not going to get anything from the conversation because you're going to be clueless. I remember I had a fear, and I'm going to share this. I really this is going to sound crazy and dumb and idiotic, but this was really a fear of mine. I used to have a fear of talking to white women. White women scared me. I have no idea why, but because I always had a relationship with Latinas and Latinos in my salon. But when it came to servicing white women and just white women, not black women, not Indian women, not Asian women, white women intimidated me. I have no idea why white women intimidated me. I don't know if it's something that I had in me, that I had something that lacked in my self-esteem when it came to being in the presence of white people or white women. For some reason, I felt dumb. I felt less than. And it's something psychological that was in me that made me fear speaking to white women as clients. I was terrified of white women. So there was one time where I kind of got over the fear with the help of a white female newscaster. She was an ABC newscaster. She came to my salon in Bethesda, and I started to do her hair. She wanted hair and makeup services from me. And I was just always afraid. I always had a fear of speaking with white women. Whenever they were in my chair, I would just either go quiet or I just wouldn't know how to talk to them. It was crazy. So I had this conversation with my client, and she moved to Washington State, but she was with me while she was here in Washington, D.C. She was an ABC News reporter. And sometimes she'd be in my chair and I would literally be shaking, shaking. She wouldn't see it, but I could feel it. I could feel that my hands were shaking when I had my comb in my hand, when I had the scissors in my, I'd be shaking because I'd be like, what am I going to talk to this newscaster, this white woman who's a newscaster? She must be so educated. And I was just nervous, nervous. So I did her the first time. I did her the second time, and I just would not know how to speak to this woman. And then by the third time, she was like, "Are you okay?" Because I really would be like, um, or just shaking, or just like my voice would not be there. And she said, "Are you okay, George? Are you okay?" Because I had to do hair and makeup for her. Almost all the times that she would come do her hair, I would also do her makeup. So when you're that intimate with someone, you are just in their face. And I was completely nervous with this woman. I had a fear of speaking to white women. And so I, for the first time, told her the truth. Danielle, because her name was Danielle. Danielle, I don't know how to say this, but I just don't know how to speak to you. What do you mean you don't know how to speak to me? We're speaking. I don't know what to say to you. I have a fear of speaking to you. What do you mean a fear of speaking to me? Well, how can I say this? I have a fear of speaking to white women. And she just started laughing, and I started laughing. And she was just like, "Oh my God, George, you are crazy." And we just started to laugh. Like she broke the ice for me. She let me feel comfortable. She let me feel good about myself. She was like, "You have absolutely no reason to fear white women." And she just could not understand. And she was just laughing and laughing and laughing as I was doing her makeup. And I had to stop because I'm like, why is she laughing so much? It was just funny to her. And she was like, "You have no reason to fear me or to fear white women. You speak well. I can tell you're educated," because I was educated. I had gone to the University of Maryland. I had taken speech classes, psychology class, all kinds of classes. I was well versed in all the points of conversation that she was talking about, but I had just had this fear. And she was like, "Get over it. We're all the same. Just speak to white women how you speak to your Latina women. Just talk to us. We're not going to bite. We're not going to make you feel less than. At least I'm not going to make you feel less than, because that's what I felt. I had a fear that white women would make me feel less than, because that had been my experience with some white women, and especially some female white women clients. They would talk to me in a tone that made me feel less than or stupid. Their vocabulary was much more broad than mine was. I just always felt dumb around them. So, with this client, and with experience and with time, I got over the fear of speaking, of speaking to white women, of speaking to female clients. I just started getting over it. And when I started to work with women one on one in a closed studio environment, my conversation skills, my therapy, psychological therapeutic skills that I learned throughout, I would say, the last 10 years of my career, because I've been a hairstylist for nearly 30 years. The last 10 years of my career, where I've been in closed studio spaces, I have gotten so good at becoming a stylist slash therapist. And these are the things that I had to learn. I had to get over the fear. I had to understand that I'm an introvert, that I had to lose the fear of speaking, and especially one on one. Speaking in big crowds and in big circles and in big groups, that's one thing. That is a whole nother thing that I had to kind of like, how do you say, confront. And I did it with speech classes that I took at the University of Maryland. I got over my fear of public speaking at the University of Maryland. If you're able to take a speech class, I would suggest, I would really suggest that you take a speech class. If you know you're an introvert, do something about it. Get over it. Start to practice with friends, with family on how to speak. Because we can be one way with our friends, but when it's your client, when this woman is paying you for hair services and for therapeutic services, because you're, regardless whether you know it or not, whether they know it or not, you become like their therapist. With years and years and years of servicing female clients over and over and over and over, you become very intimate with your female clients. You become your therapist. They get married. They start to have kids. They start to live life and have life experiences. And if you're not up to date with what's going on in their lives, they're not really going to value you as a hairstylist. Believe it or not. They might just like how you do their hair, but they won't really have an intimate relationship with you. And that intimacy between client and hairstylist, that is a key component to growing a strong clientele. The clientele that I have now has taken me decades, years to build. And I've gotten so good at having a therapist relationship with my clients that even if they're a new client, I'm starting to build new clients. Even at this point in my career, I build new clients. I learn immediately, as soon as they sit in my chair, how to have a conversation with them. I start to figure them out. I start to get a vibe for them. I start to figure out, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to let let off your chest? What do you want to, you know, talk to me about? What do you want to feel good about? Are you lacking in some way? Are you needing some kind of therapy in some way? That's something that I have learned to pick up on. That truly is something that, with the years that I've had doing this over and over again, I learned that I am a therapist as well as a hairstylist. It's crazy, but it is a real thing. Well, I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. It's something that I had been thinking about and not really thinking about. Should I not do this as a YouTube video? Should this be something that I discuss? Please let me know in the comments if you like this type of video, if this video was of benefit to you, if you learned something from this video, because I have a curiosity. I want to know if this was something that I should or should not have spoken about. I think as a hairstylist, I would have liked to have been told, as a young hairstylist, you're going to have to learn how to speak to your clients. I was never told that. Never. And I had been people's assistants, and they had never told me how crucial, how important it was for me to speak. How listening was an important. Listening is also very important. Not only speaking, but listening. Listening to your client, listening for clues on what they want to talk about, listening, being a good listener when they're having their moments of grieving or when they're having their moments of wanting to talk about their love lives, their kids, their career. You have to be a good listener as well. So please let me know if you enjoyed and learned from this video. And I just want to say thank you to you all. Thank you for being my followers and subscribers and my audience. I hope that these videos, these YouTube videos, are not in vain. I've been doing YouTube for about 9 years now, and I just want to get better at it. I want to know that my videos are being of benefit to you guys. I am a humble servant. I am also seeing this as a job to serve you as a community, as a YouTube community. So I hope that you liked it and enjoyed it. And let me know in your comments. Let me know the good or the bad. I don't care. I will pick up on what you guys dish out. Whatever comments you have, I won't take offense to it. I learn from your comments. I learn from you as my followers and audience and, friends. I would call you and consider you friends even though I don't know you. But your comments and your interactions with me let me know if I'm doing something right or wrong. And so it's good to know. So thank you guys for being here. I will see you guys the next time on the next video, hopefully. Take care.